Texas is still the #1 destination for people leaving other states. The space is what sells it. Room to breathe, no income tax, new houses going up everywhere you look. But here is what nobody is telling you before you sign. There are towns across this state where the growth has already passed the breaking point. Roads backed up before they were finished, schools that ran out of desks before the school year started, water systems stretched past capacity. And in one town, the city literally stopped all new construction while it tried to catch up. Nobody is talking about what that means if you are moving there. If you are moving to Texas, already live there, or are looking at any of these towns on a map right now, you need to know what is actually happening on the ground. But #1 is going to shock you, because nobody outside of Texas has ever heard of this city, and what happened there has never happened in any American city before it. These are 10 of them. Number 10, Georgetown, Williamson County, Interstate 35, population about 115,000. Georgetown has been named the fastest-growing city in the United States not once, not twice, but 3 consecutive times by the U.S. Census Bureau. According to U.S. Census data, Georgetown's population grew from 75,620 to 86,507 in a single year, a 14.4% surge. The city added 45,938 new residents over the last estimate period, more absolute growth than any other city in the country. But the number that should stop anyone planning a move is water. Georgetown will need to find a new water source by 2030 to avoid supply shortages, according to a city-commissioned report. Georgetown City Manager David Morgan told KVUE that the city is actively racing to finalize a long-term water supply agreement with EPCOR before the deadline. A $292 million treatment plant expansion is currently under construction to try to double treated water capacity before time runs out. The largest share of the city's daily water demand, an estimated 75%, goes toward outdoor irrigation alone, meaning every new lawn added to the city's grid is a direct draw on a supply that is already projected to fall short within 4 years. Mayor Josh Schroeder told KXAN Austin, quote, "With growth comes a lot of pressures, in terms of keeping up with infrastructure, water, wastewater, our roads, public safety," end quote. Georgetown is still growing, and it is still running out of time to keep up. A safer alternative with more stable water infrastructure is Round Rock, 15 miles south on Interstate 35. Number 9, Fulshear, Fort Bend County, FM 1093, population about 42,600. To understand why Fulshear made this list, you need to understand the scale of what happened here. According to a decade-long analysis by the U.S. Census Bureau, Fulshear grew by 1,082% from 2014 to 2023. Not 12%, not 100%, 1,082%. A city that barely existed became one of the 40 largest cities in the Houston metro in under a decade. The North Fort Bend Water Authority is now executing a $555 million pipeline project just to address the water demands of a city that grew faster than any infrastructure plan could anticipate. A $212 million road transformation program is currently underway to rebuild FM 1093 and connecting corridors that were designed for a farming community a fraction of this size. The largest single-line item in that road plan is water resilience and quality of life infrastructure, because the roads were never the only problem. The drainage system, the storm capacity, and the creek channeling around Fulshear's canals were all designed for a footprint that no longer matches reality. Fort Bend County receives more average rainfall than Houston, and every new impervious roof and driveway added to the city increases downstream flood risk measurably. Fulshear's mayor told the Houston Business Journal, quote, "As mayor, I see it as our responsibility to ensure that we grow thoughtfully and sustainably," end quote. The $555 million water bill says it did not. A safer alternative with finished infrastructure is Sugar Land, 18 miles east on FM 1093. Number 8, Kyle, Hays County, Interstate 35, population about 69,000. Kyle sits directly south of Austin, which used to mean a reasonable commute and a much cheaper mortgage. That deal is long gone. Kyle has grown faster than its road network for 10 straight years. Annual resident surveys conducted by the city of Kyle have consistently listed traffic congestion and poor roadway conditions as the top concerns, ranking above every other civic issue. The city put a $294 million road bond on the November 2022 ballot. Voters approved it, calling it the largest road investment in the city's history. The construction to fix those roads now adds years of lane closures and detours on top of existing congestion. Hays County has approved over 40,000 additional residential lots in the planning pipeline along the I-35 corridor between Kyle and Buda, meaning the roads that are already failing are being asked to absorb another wave. A local homeowner told the Austin American-Statesman, quote, "We moved here for the quiet. Now my morning commute to Austin takes the same time it would take from downtown, and they just broke ground on another 1,200 homes behind my backyard." End quote. A safer alternative with more developed road infrastructure and a calmer growth trajectory is Buda, 8 miles south on Interstate 35. Number 7. Fate. Rockwall County, US 80 east of Dallas. Population, about 27,500. Most people have never heard of Fate, Texas. The U.S. Census Bureau has. According to the U.S. Census Bureau's vintage 2024 estimates, Fate ranked number 8 in the entire nation for population growth percentage, posting an 11.4% increase from 2023 to 2024 alone. The city grew from 24,666 to 27,467 in 12 months. For context, the national average growth rate is 0.5%. The Rockwall County Herald-Banner reported the city is racing to extend water lines and sewer infrastructure to keep pace with new developments, with officials noting that connecting service to subdivisions on the city's outer perimeter has become the primary challenge. If you want DFW eastern suburbs without the same construction chaos, a safer alternative is Rockwall, 8 miles west on US 80. Number 6. Little Elm. According to U.S. Census projections, Little Elm's population is tracking towards 63,000, with a 4% annual growth rate. The average commute from Little Elm to a Dallas or Frisco employer is now 35.3 minutes, 35% above the national average, and rising each year as the city adds households faster than roads and lanes. If you are still working through this list city by city, you are exactly the kind of person who does the research before making a move. Subscribe and hit the bell, because what comes next are the cities where the numbers get significantly worse. And number 1 is not who most people would guess. A longtime Little Elm resident told Niche.com, quote, "Investors are buying up properties and renting them out to anyone, schools are overcrowded, and many long-term residents are selling and leaving because the neighborhoods are declining." End quote. A safer alternative with established retail and more road capacity is Prosper, 12 miles north on US 380. Number 5. Conroe. Number 5. Conroe. According to SmartAsset, Conroe ranks 16th in the nation for median property tax burden as a percentage of household income, a hidden cost that catches new arrivals off guard when the first tax bill arrives on a $400,000 home and the annual bill lands above $8,000. Conroe ISD added 8,115 students in recent years, representing 12.5% growth in the school system in just a few years. Officials in Conroe have told local media they expect to continue grappling with new subdivisions, more roads, controlling the tax rate, and attracting retail and entertainment to match population. The Texas Department of Transportation is currently widening I-45 through Montgomery County, a multi-year project that has introduced years of lane closures on the primary corridor that connects Conroe to Houston. Every new resident who moves in during that construction window is buying into both the promise of what Conroe will become and the daily reality of what it currently is. A homeowner quoted in the Conroe Courier said, quote, "We knew it was growing fast, but we did not expect to sit on I-45 for 45 minutes just to get to the highway on-ramp." End quote. If you want access to Lake Conroe and the Houston North Corridor with more finished infrastructure, a safer alternative is the Woodlands, 12 miles south on Interstate 45. Number 4. Cibolo. Guadalupe County, Interstate 35. Population about 34,000. Cibolo is the city people move to when San Antonio gets too expensive, and it is now experiencing every problem San Antonio used to have, just 15 years compressed into 5. According to the Texas State Demographer's office, Cibolo grew from roughly 5,000 residents in 2000 to over 34,000 today, a nearly 600% increase in under 25 years. The city's master drainage and utility systems were designed for a fraction of that load. Guadalupe County has approved over 15,000 new residential lots in the current planning cycle alone. A Cibolo city planner told the San Antonio Express News, quote, "We are approving infrastructure as fast as we can build it, but the gap between approval and completion means new residents move in before the roads and utilities are ready." End quote. A safer alternative with more developed city services is Schertz, 4 miles west on Interstate 35. Number 3. Boerne, Kendall County, Interstate 10. Population about 25,000. Boerne was a quiet German hill country town with a main street people drove an hour from San Antonio to visit. Now San Antonio is driving that hour every day because they moved here. According to the U.S. Census Bureau, Boerne more than doubled its population between 2010 and 2024, growing from roughly 10,000 residents to over 25,000. Kendall County is among the fastest-growing counties in Texas by growth rate. The 2-lane roads and small-town downtown were built for a tenth of current traffic demand. A longtime Boerne business owner told the Kerrville Daily Times, quote, "People come here because they love the small-town feel. Then they bring the city with them and wonder why it does not feel small anymore." End quote. Kendall County Commissioners Court approved a major road widening plan for Main Street and Herf Road, specifically to handle the traffic load that did not exist 5 years ago. The timeline for those improvements extends into 2028. If you still want hill country access without the same pace of development, a safer alternative is Comfort, 22 miles northwest on Interstate 10. Number 2. New Braunfels, Comal County, Interstate 35. Population about 117,000. New Braunfels ranked number 2 in the entire United States for population growth percentage from 2022 to 2023, according to SmartAsset. The city added over 12,000 new residents in a single year, a 12.5% surge. The population has jumped from 85,000 in 2018 to over 117,000 today. The Guadalupe River, the Tubing Corridor, the historic Gruen District, all of it now surrounded by a ring of subdivisions and retail strips that stretch to the horizon. The city's own editorial board wrote that New Braunfels, quote, failed to manage its growth, opting to cater toward tourism rather than develop its lacking infrastructure, end quote. Longtime residents have taken to local forums and review sites to warn newcomers directly. Quote, New Braunfels is losing its quaintness. Close the gate, stay away. You are not going to like it here at all, end quote. And separately, quote, the explosive growth means more traffic, higher costs, and crowded rivers. That old-school charm has faded as new developments pop up everywhere, end quote. Those are not complaints from people who hate Texas. Those are from people who loved New Braunfels enough to move there and watched it change in 5 years faster than it changed in the previous 50. A safer alternative with better managed growth, the same hill country access, and a functioning Main Street is San Marcos, 15 miles southwest on Interstate 35. Number 1. And this is the town nobody outside of Texas has ever heard of. Princeton. Number 1. And this is the town nobody outside of Texas has ever heard of. Princeton. Collin County, US 380. Population about 37,000. Everyone expected this list to end with Austin, or Dallas, or Houston. The U.S. Census Bureau says something different. Princeton is officially the fastest-growing city in the entire United States. According to U.S. Census Vintage 2024 data, Princeton's population surged 30.6% from July 2023 to July 2024 alone, growing from approximately 28,000 to over 37,000 in 12 months. Not the fastest in Texas, not the fastest in the South, the fastest in the country. And here is the part that no other city on this list can claim. Princeton grew so fast that the city government voted to stop it. The city council approved a moratorium on all new residential construction, extended to 180 days, just to pause the growth long enough to build roads, schools, and water capacity to serve the residents who had already moved in. Princeton Mayor Eugene Escobar Jr. told CBS News, quote, "We are still about 5 years probably behind. The measurements, everything we had in place, cannot handle where we are now," end quote. One Princeton resident told reporters that her mother's drive to Carrollton, a distance of about 32 miles, can now take 2 hours because of traffic alone. A construction moratorium in the fastest-growing city in America. Think about what that means. People are still moving in under existing approvals. The city is still absorbing the previous wave of growth, and the next wave of housing is legally frozen in place, paused mid-build, while the city races to install roads and water systems that the previous decade of explosive growth never adequately funded. The bypass around downtown Princeton is now under construction. US 380 is being expanded, but both of those projects are at least 2 years from completion. In the gap, residents are navigating roads, schools, and utilities that were built for a town one-third the current size, with another wave of growth already approved and waiting to resume. A CBS News correspondent who visited Princeton described a city genuinely trying to catch up with its own success, and genuinely unsure if it can. A safer alternative in the DFW North Corridor with fully developed road and utility infrastructure is McKinney, 14 miles west on US 380. 10 towns, 10 different counties. One pattern across every single one of them. Real growth, real consequences, real infrastructure gaps. In roads, in water, in schools, that residents discover after they sign the mortgage. 10 towns, 10 counties, one pattern. Real growth, real infrastructure gaps, real consequences for everyone who moved there before the roads and water systems caught up. Texas is still worth the move for millions of people every year. The job market, the space, the no income tax math is all real. But these 10 towns are at a specific inflection point right now, in 2026. The gap between how fast people are arriving and how fast the city can build the services they need is still open. Before you sign a contract in any of these 10 towns, ask the one question the listing agent will never bring up. Is the water system built to handle the subdivision that just broke ground 2 streets over? Because in every city on this list, the answer is not yet. Drop a comment. Which of these 10 Texas towns surprised you most? And which city did you think was going to be number 1? Subscribe for the next Texas breakdown, and share this with anyone who has Texas on their relocation list right now.